What is up, Cal fans? Welcome back to another episode of the California Golden Bearcast, a proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Andy. Alongside me, as always, is Rob, and we are bringing a very special guest with us today. Big game and Cal legend Shane Vereen. Shane, welcome to the Bearcast.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
So good to have you here. We're going to kick it over to Rob to do a little bit of an introduction on Shane. I'm assuming most people should know. If they don't know, they should know. So Rob, let's educate here.
Yes, we got Shane Vereen here. He was the number 23 running back in the 2007 class on Scout, number 5 on Rivals. Over 6,000 rushing and receiving yards with 89 touchdowns during a 3-year varsity career. Super Prep and Prep Star All-American choice from 2008 to 2010. Played in all 38 games at Cal with 19 starts. Finished his Cal career with 29 rushing touchdowns. Tied for 3rd all-time. 35 total touchdowns. Tied for 4th all-time. 4,069 all-purpose yards. Finished 5th all-time. 2,834 rushing yards. 7th all-time. And 11 100 rushing yard games for 7th all-time, 210 points scored, tied for 9th all-time, was a 2010 second-team All-Pac-12 selection, led Cal in rushing in each of his final 16 collegiate games that he played for Cal. Multiple touchdowns in 10 games and at least 1 reception in 37 of the 38 games that he played. He has Cal's single-season record for 1,757 all-purpose yards in 2009, which ranks 6th. 13 rushing touchdowns in 2010 is tied for 6th. 12 rushing touchdowns he posted in 2008, tied for 8th. And 1,167 rushing yards and 96 points in 2010 are tied for 9th. And 9th all-time at the time his career finished, was a second-round selection, number 56 overall, by the New England Patriots in 2011, and a Super Bowl champion for Super Bowl 49 with the Patriots against Marshawn Lynch's Seattle Seahawks, catching a then Super Bowl record of 11 catches in the game. And that's Shane's career up until the end of his football playing days.
That doesn't sound too bad, now that I think about it.
Certainly doesn't. Doesn't.
Absolutely not.
Shane, as we think about hearing all of that, thought it might be nice to run through the sort of start and what brought you to Cal and that journey, how you ultimately made your way to Berkeley.
Yeah, so born and raised in Southern California, Valencia to be specific. And, growing up, I was a huge college football fan. More than anything, I wanted to play college football. My mind wasn't even thinking about the pros. It was just I loved waking up Saturday mornings. I would have my little peewee game, and then I would come home and just watch college football all day. The reason why I ended up going to Cal was because academics were extremely important to my mom. I remember my first offer was from Oregon after my sophomore season in high school, and I thought you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be an Oregon Duck. They had 150 jersey combinations. They had the facilities, yada, yada. But then as soon as I started getting offers from like Cal and Stanford and then even Harvard and Northwestern, those types of things, like my mom was like, you're definitely not going to Oregon. We prioritize education in this household. Another big reason was my brother is 3 years younger than me, so he was still in high school when I left for college, and he was going to play Friday nights. I knew I would be playing Saturdays, and so I wanted to stay in state so that my parents could see me play. And so it wasn't too much of a hassle for them travel-wise. I wanted to get out of the Southern California area. I went up to Cal and absolutely fell in love with it. It checked all the boxes. Absolutely adore and love still to this day my running back coach, Ron Gould. He's now the running back coach with the Rams. And he's like a second or third father to me still to this day. So just the culture, the Berkeley campus. I understand it's not for everybody, but it was for me. And that's kind of how I landed at Cal.
Shane, just since you're talking about Gould, this is not kind of on the rundown, but we did ask our listenership for questions for you if they had anything to ask. And since you bring up Ron Gould, we had a guy, Doc Seuss 84, asks, what did Ron Gould do specifically coaching wise that made his back so consistently good in all phases of the game, the run, the catching, the blocking, that have and where have you seen maybe some of the transitions into modern college football where you think that his coaching style would do benefits for?
Yeah, oh man, I don't even know where to begin. Number one, he's a perfectionist. So everything needs to be perfect. We strive for perfection every single day. Number two, he always said never put limits on yourself. You're not just a first and second down back. You're not just a third down back. You're not just a back in the pass game. You're going to be an all-around running back. And what really helped us achieve that was because we were in a pro style system under Jeff Tedford. So we had to be, if we wanted to be on the field, we had to be able to do all of those things. And now flip, you look at college football, there's very few pro style offenses. Everything is more gun, everything is run and shoot, air raid. You're getting away from those traditional running styles. So we had to be all around backs, and because of that, practice was absolute hell. It was absolutely hell for us. So that's how we got better. And he never overwhelmed us. He always was like, even during camp, when it's the dog days of camp and you're tired and you don't want to be out there and you got no sleep, he said, just get 1% better every day. Just 1% better. I'm not asking you to be a superhero every single day. Get 1% better every day. And when you simplify that kind of thought, you can focus on just this drill, we're working on pass pro. This drill, we're working on catching the ball in the backfield. This drill, we're working on inside zone, outside zone. So it just simplifies things. But he's a perfectionist, and he was hard on us, but he loved us at the same time. And so all the credit, all the backs that came out of Cal under him, there's a reason why we were successful, not just in college, but in the NFL.
I mean, we're talking about the NFL now. I mean, you made the transition from collegiate player to professional player to a brief stint in television, which is where
Yeah.
we first met when we met when you were covering the big game, and then now into a front office job. Like, was the path always to stay somewhat tangentially related to the game of football?
I think so. If not football, sports in general. I grew up, me and my brother were like glued to the TV watching Sports Center. Fell in love with Stuart Scott, and all the sportcasters. And so watching Stuart Scott, watching Kenny Mayne, watching Chris Berman growing up, I was like, ooh, I like that. I want to do that. Gave that a shot. And it was fun, but it wasn't necessarily waking me up in the morning. And what I realized was I need to be part of like a team. Team, like when it's bigger than yourself and you're not working just for yourself, you're working for the larger goal. That's what gets me up in the morning. And so after 5 or 6 years doing media, I decided I wanted to get back, and it was either coaching or it was front office. I have a family now with 2 kids, and so the coaching side is just a little bit more transient than the front office side. Front office is a little more stable, and so that's ultimately why I decided to take the front office route.
I mean, you did briefly mention coaching. Do you think that'll ever be on the cards at some point? I mean, at this point,
Absolutely.
coaching's probably the last unknown for you. You've done pretty much everything else in terms of being related to
Yeah.
football.
I know, it feels like I've lived like almost 3 lives now. Um, but yeah, I think eventually I'll coach. I don't really feel like I wanna go higher than like high school. Like I wanna like give back to like the kids and develop the kids. Because I feel like there's certain fundamentals of the game. Look, at the NFL level, the teams that win are the teams that are not good at like the most crazy play design and the most, intuitive defenses. It's the fundamentals. It comes down to running, blocking, throwing and catching, tackling. Like it's the fundamentals, even at the NFL level, that separate the good teams, the teams that are 8-2 versus the teams that are 2-8. It's not scheme. It could be a couple players here and there, but at the end of the day, it's the fundamentals of the game, and the teams that can be better at the fundamentals are the teams that win. And so if I can, help out like high school kids and watch them grow and just be a teacher and a learner, or a teacher and learn from them as well. I think that that's kind of where the passion will be eventually. But right now, I'm really enjoying the front office job.
I thought one of the coolest pieces of our conversation yesterday with Trevor Guyton was that he talked about how he felt like he wasn't ever, like when he was developing from a strength and conditioning standpoint, he saw not necessarily reaching diminishing returns, but he wasn't going to be, I forget the exact term, but, he wasn't going to be the person, a workout warrior, the gym warrior. Instead, he said he just went and spent all of his time focusing on technique.
Yeah.
And that way, it didn't matter if the person in front of him was stronger, could do more reps in the gym, but he knew that he would have better technique and he could win that way. And I think that is very similar to what you just covered.
Yeah, I mean, there's different body types at every position. There's no like, yeah, you want your quarterback to be 6'6" with a Tom Brady arm and legs like Lamar Jackson, but there's only one of those. You know what I mean? Like you have to make what God gave you, you have to make that work at your respective position. And technique is huge. I mean, at every position. If you're deficient in terms of speed, you better be quick, and you better learn how to use your hands, and you better be a good tackler. You better be instinctive to make up for your deficiencies. And I'm learning that more now in the scouting world than I ever really thought about. But technique is huge, and just knowing who you are as a player, knowing your strengths, but also being aware of your weaknesses.
Oh, love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about Cal. I'd love to hear present day, how tuned in are you to the Golden Bears? And like,
Yeah.
you can push the truth a little bit if you want. And then,
Yeah.
your head coach was honored this season as being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and would love to hear, your thoughts on Teddy and ultimately what he meant to your career.
Well, I am tuned in. If I don't catch a whole game every Saturday, I at least catch the fourth quarter or I catch the beginning of the game. Very excited about the direction of the Cal program. I was a little worried prior, like kind of post spring ball when every running back on the roster left, but
You and
we
every
found
Cal
a way to
fan.
get yeah, we found a way to get over it. I have nothing but absolute respect and admiration for Justin Wilcox. I think he is a great coach. I think he is the right coach for the program. And our quarterback right now I mean, how lucky did we get? For him to step in with the lefty.
Yeah.
And winning ball games for us. I love it. So there's a lot to cheer for. There's a lot to look forward for, as terms of the Cal program. Coach Tefford, he's probably the reason why I'm sitting here right now talking to you guys about big game and NFL careers and just my progression because of the offense that he ran, the genius that he was offensively, learning how to get the best out of players, knowing how to put players in positions to succeed. That was the beauty of our offense. We were never the same each week. We altered and changed. It forced you to think. It forced you to be smart. And that's why the Marvin Jones, the Keenan Allens, the Deshaun Jacksons, the Marshawn Lynches, the Alex Macks, the Mitchell Schwartz, that's why we were able to transition to the NFL and be successful, is because we could handle 100 to 150 plays going into game day, because that's what we had under Coach Tefford. He pushed us, he forced us to learn, he forced us to get better. I mean, he was brutally honest. But it forced you to grow up and to be a man. I can't say enough good things about Coach Tefford. And I mean, the Hall of Fame induction was, I mean, just icing on the cake for everything that he has done for me.
Shane, since it is big game week, we do got to talk about the big game. Um, what does the big game mean to you?
Uh, Shoot.
It's a
Man,
large
that is a
question.
layer.
It's a very large question.
Yeah, that is a layer question. Let me take you through the progress. First year, well, let me see. Did I go to it? First year, um, I was redshirting my freshman year, and we lost at Stanford. I didn't really understand how big of a moment it was, how big the big game was, especially being from Southern California. Southern California, it's the victory bell with UCLA and USC. I didn't understand how big it was until we lost. And I saw the way that Stanford celebrated. I saw the looks and the feeling from my teammates and our side, and just how drained and just how disappointing it was. And that's when I started to learn just how important that game was. 2008, Job at Best goes absolutely insane. And we celebrate like we've never celebrated before. And it's not like it was even a close game, but like if you saw the way we celebrated in that locker room, you would have thought it was like a mini Super Bowl because it just meant that much. And you walk around campus during big game week and there's all these events going on in the square and right outside the GBC, like the band's out there and there's like just a different environment walking around campus that entire week. The bonfire on Friday nights before the game, you just start to learn just how much it means, not just to the campus, but even to like the alumni and the people that come back for the game. And then obviously '09 is probably the most memorable one. I mean, we're going up against Andrew Luck, Toby Gerhardt, Richard Sherman. And they were getting ready. They beat us and win one more game. They're in the Rose Bowl. We were still fighting to move up in terms of which bowl game we were going to play for. And that was just an opportunity for us to kind of like go steal one. And that's what we did. And I'll never forget the feelings around that game. Us storming the field, the fans storming the field, the student section going insane for all 4 quarters. I mean, it didn't look pretty for like 3 quarters of that game, but but in the end, we found a way. And then Mikey Mo's interception. I mean, you got all the emotions. It was an emotional roller coaster. We were on the road. Um, yeah, we were just fighting for survival. And the week before that game, we were playing against Arizona. We weren't supposed to win that game. They were ranked. They were getting ready to go to the Rose Bowl. So it was just like a 2 week span of just like a roller coaster ride of just emotional. And then we win both games. I mean, it was just incredible.
So let's talk just because you brought it up in that specific game. What I remember, Shane, is you being the true, the bell cow running
Yeah.
back, 42 carries.
Yeah.
And I will say, as a quick aside, I remember that the Tiger Woods halftime, like I still always
Oh,
remember that his life was never the same
yeah,
after that. When we went
yeah,
into the locker room, man.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So funny story about that. I tell people all the time. So I was one of the captains for the big game that in '09. And so we went out to the coin toss and it was like John Elway and Tiger Woods was out there at the coin toss. And I tell people all the time, that was the last time that Tiger Woods was Tiger Woods
yeah,
before everything like kind of
Oh
like
my God.
blew up. But it was a cool to like, I mean, that was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Shaking Tiger Woods' hand was like kind of
yeah.
awesome.
And that
Yeah.
was, I mean, exactly. Like he was Tiger Woods at that time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is, gosh, that's amazing. But yeah, okay. So 40, I just like, what does recovery look like after 42 carries?
All right. Well, now that we're far enough away, I can tell you the truth. So I went into that game with a sprained ankle. I came out of that game with the other ankle sprain, and I tore my meniscus in my knee, in my right,
Oh,
in my left knee.
because
So
you didn't play after, right?
no, I did. I didn't
Okay.
practice after, but I
Okay.
played in the
Okay.
game.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, so and obviously Javid had gone down earlier that season, so he was out for the rest of the year. Um, so it was me, I had to play. And so in the first quarter, I got hit. We were running an inside play to the left. It was like a power. The defensive end got off the tight end and like came low. And the way he hit my knee kind of like buckled it. And all of a sudden I just feel like a shooting pain through my knee. It swells up a little bit, but like it's game time, adrenaline, like you just got to keep going. Turns out that like I actually tore my meniscus and then now I had two sprained ankles. But it was fun. I mean, it is what it is, right? The next day, so the game happens, I'm kind of sore, but it is what it is. The next day, I could not walk. So I get on I walk down the stairs at my place, get on my scooter, and like let's say the training room opens at 9. I was probably there at like 7 because I was in so much pain and I couldn't really sleep. So I ride my scooter up and then I'm literally get off park my scooter and then I'm trying to walk from my scooter to the training room and I could not walk. So I had to call our head training staff guy Wes and he sent a golf cart to come get me and then drive me back in and and then they started doing the MRIs and X-rays and all that type of stuff just to see what was going on. Turns out I tore my meniscus and all this type of stuff. So they got me enough to like be able to they got me good enough to where I could like walk out of there with crutches that day. But obviously it was a quick turnaround. We had another game the next Saturday. So I didn't practice that week. But I was good enough to go for the game. And then after that, I believe we had a few weeks off to get ready for the bowl game. So by the time we got to the bowl game, I was better. And then I had surgery on the knee after the season. That's what 42 carries will do to you.
Unreal. Unreal.
Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anyone ever wonders why we've been such advocates to pay the players, like I think that's like the perfect example.
Yeah. 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 And the thing that made it the worst, though, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was finals week. So like I had to like try and like get my like as if finals isn't stressful enough trying to get to finals on time. Like, and I'm on crutches trying to walk through campus, and it's not like, you know how large campus could be. So like sometimes there's classes all the way on the other side, and it's not like Cal's campus is flat. That was more of an inconvenience than anything else, if you want my honest answer.
I know that life. I mean,
Yeah.
Ed, the head equipment manager, called me the most injury-prone equipment manager of all time because I showed up on crutches after a snowboarding trip, and then I had to crutch my way across campus. And finally, my teacher was like, "We'll figure something out for you." Because I was like, it's taken me like 45 minutes to get to class. I'd show up 30 minutes late, you know.
Full sweat, I'm assuming. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the tries have never looked better though. You know, it's like,
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. I just while we were talking, I pulled up the game after the Cal game, which was against Washington. I'm not going to mention the score of that game, but Shane had 100 yards on 16 carries. So knowing this backstory now, that's absolute insanity. Hit 100 yards.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, game,
my goodness.
That Washington game still gets me, still bothers me. But
yeah.
anyways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Jake Locker had a day. I mean,
Jake Locker
that's
went crazy. It snowed like the night before, it snowed the morning of, and we just didn't play well. We could have had a 10-win. That would have been a 10-win season. Man. Yeah.
I think, Andy, the theme around the big game right now, after talking to Trevor, has been if you play on Stanford's field, you tend to get injured. I think that's the because I mean Trevor talked
pretty terrible.
Trevor talked about how bad the grass was, and then he got like cleated, and there was like a 3-inch gash on his leg where he could see like his muscles, like, and so
I remember that.
So yeah, it seems like play on Stanford's field, you tend to get injured.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna call it MetLife West, but it's in my head.
It's close. Yeah, they used to grow the grass super long, and then there was like dead spots in it. It was, yeah, terrible.
Well, transitioning from injuries and surviving to, do you have any like favorite memory of the big game? I know we've covered one, so it's totally okay if that's the one, but if there's just like a favorite memory or one that stands out from your time with Cal football.
Yeah, I think it would have to be 09. I didn't realize I carried the ball that many times, so that's not even like the main memory. I didn't know that until after the game, until like the reporters told me. But the feeling of after Mikey Mo's interception, and then obviously that was insane. But then going out to take the knee, I was like standing kind of like behind Kevin Riley as he was taking the knee, and our student section was right behind me. And after he took the final knee, I just turn around, take my helmet off, and just scream. And then everybody's starting to rush the field. That was like that's like right up there with running out of the tunnel for the Super Bowl. That feeling is that was just unbelievable. I still to this day like can picture and put myself back in that, like in that little 3 to 5 minute span, and then I'm, like, running around with everybody, and we're just, like, beyond ourselves, so, uh, that's probably the number one feeling that I think about when you mention big game.
I mean, how do you top that? That's like, it's like,
You
yeah,
can't
he's
really.
it's that Jon Snow meme. He's just turning around, and all of this mass of
Yeah.
Cal students just running towards him at an insane speed.
I was here, Shay, I got a little surprise for you, but I was looking for this one.
Oh, no way.
Shane and Danny
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
with the helmet on. I'll send it over. Dude, I have the best pictures. I have one of I found one of like Tosh in there with all the guys, and I'm like, man, everyone looks so young.
Yeah, man, yeah.
But I remember, I will never forget the 2009, the locker room after the big game and that win and the axe going around. I'll just never forget it. It's unbelievable.
It was, everybody get all the position groups get to take a picture with the axe, and oh, man, yeah. And that was a very, really fun bus ride back to campus, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, we did not sit down. We yeah. That was a really good moment. That was fun. That was a good year.
Well, I mean, I have a tangential question to ask you then, like, having gone through the 2009 win, and then, that was the last one for quite a while, right? Like we didn't win one for 10. Oh, did I get lost again? Yeah. 10 years ish. So if you were to put the shoes on for if you were a player that won it in 2019, like how crazy is that moment to be able to break a streak like that? Like knowing the history of where it had gotten that far.
Yeah, I imagine for the players, I would just assume that they didn't even understand how much it meant until they won, until they saw and felt the emotions and the feeling of, like I said, it's like it's bigger than you, it's bigger than the team. It's the entire alumni, it's the students, it's who's on campus that day. It, it's so much bigger than that, and to have that moment. Was that the Chase Garbers
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, that was the Chase
At
Garbers year.
Stanford?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually calling that game for Fox. So I was there calling the game, doing the color commentating, and, it was absolutely incredible. I think it was Fox. I think it was on Fox, but yeah, I was at that game, so it was just unbelievable. Yeah, I can imagine that after that game, they truly understood what it meant and just how important it was. Um just I mean, I feel like I care more about the program now that I'm an alumni and I can't do anything about it than I did when I was, like, playing and, like, could, like, suit up and, like, go out there every Saturday and play. So I know what it meant to me as an alum. I can only imagine what it meant to the guys.
I was gonna say, you say that, but Coach Rivera is a friend of the pod. We can have him. Yeah, he'll get you plugged in.
Oh,
I think like zooming out, Shane, as you think about like, I feel like you're a little bit of a unique perspective in that you stayed pretty close to college football and you've seen it evolve. You talked about the changing offenses from the really the pro style Tedford era to what it's become today, and I would love to get your perspective on how you see Cal's position, which seems slightly precarious in regards to what's the future realignment and ultimately where you see this thing going if, put on a little crystal ball and I
yeah.
mean, your best guess, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately, I don't know what's being discussed like in the decision makers room, and I don't really trust it, if I'm just being honest. It can go one of like so many different directions. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as it is, right? They're making things very complicated, very vague. The rules are vague. And so everybody's kind of just like, we'll do this until they tell us we can't. I think that that's kind of hurting the sport. I think it's hurting the players more than anything, just because there's no development. And now that I'm in, the front office, we have guys that have played for like 2 or 3 different schools, and now they're entering the draft, and it's like they're underdeveloped, or they played in 3 different systems, which is good, but they've never really reached. We have no idea what the ceiling is for a certain player because they change offenses every 2 years or every other year. And so just from a development standpoint, it's definitely hurting the players. Now, should players be getting paid? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm never gonna I'm never going to go away from that point. But I think there should be some restrictions in terms of how many times you should transfer. I do think there should be some restrictions on if you transfer once, the second time you transfer, you should have to like just some type of, because it's at the end of the day, the players are the ones that are getting hurt and they don't even know it. They have no idea. Um, so I mean, Cal is like an interesting situation in this whole like metaverse of what college football is right now. Because you have like Cal, because of how tough it is to recruit based on the academic standards. Um, we can only get certain guys because the standards of our academia are higher. It is what it is. And that's never going to change. But what I think like one good thing is that, especially defensively in the last couple of years, not only do the NFL teams trust Justin Wilcox as a coach, they trust our players from an intellectual standpoint. They can handle any defense. They can handle any offense that you throw at them because they're forced to be smart, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And even last year, I mean, Teddy Buchanan is starting, Craig Woodson is starting, like, and those guys went in like the third, fourth, fifth round, like in the middle rounds, but they're starting their rookie year. I think that that's a testament to our program. I think that's a testament to Justin Wilcox and the program that he has run. It shows that if you stay with it, if you stay through it, if you trust the coaching, you're going to be fine. The hardest thing about the NFL is getting in the NFL. Once you get in, if you work your tail off, if you do the right things, you're gonna be there. If you're talented enough, and you're not if you you're not gonna play Division I football at California if you're not talented in some aspect. And so I think we're in an interesting situation just because of that portion. And we're not the big like Alabamas and Clemson's who can kind of throw money out. You really have to want to go to Cal, and you really have to want to love the game, and you really love the game of football. So it's a different type of recruit. But I think it's good. I really do. I think it's good. We're gonna still be competitive regardless of how they change up the conferences there and all that. Don't get me started on the ACC, please. But I think it's just going to be north, south, east, and west. Like 4 conferences. This is what it is. Everybody plays everybody, and then we handle the playoffs how it will be. Like, just simplify everything. But there's so many different ways the college landscape can go. And I honestly have no idea where it's going.
I mean, you said not to mention the ACC, but is it an enjoyment of like, like the demise of the Pac-12? Like, like it, like, is it, I don't know, I think for some fans, it's like, it's new, so it's cool. But then it's also,
Yeah.
you lose all the traditions and everything. And Andy and I have been talking about this, but like Cal fans showing up to away games has been huge because a lot of these East Coast Cal fans haven't been able to fly back out, west to see their team. And they can fly to Boston, they can fly to Virginia to watch their team play, and it's more accessible to them. But like, that's one of the positives. But like, from your perspective, just watching it on TV and whatnot, I know you're probably gonna say you miss the Pac-10 and Pac-12 opponents, because that's the history and tradition. But
Yeah.
is it refreshing? Like, where does it stand for you when you watch games?
It's cool to see the matchups that you never would have thought would have happened. So from that aspect, like, I appreciate it, and I think it's cool. Um, I guess, like, if I'm, like, being nostalgic about everything, when I was there in the Pac-10, you couldn't tell me that we weren't as competitive as the SEC. We put out just as many guys from the conference into the league as the SEC. We didn't play against the SEC very often, but the competition level when SC was good, when UCLA was competitive, when we were good, Stanford like Oregon was number 1 in the nation a couple of years while I was there. Like at one point my freshman year, we were the number 3 team in the nation. So I'm just saying, like, that's what I miss more than anything from the Pac-10, Pac-12 era when it was good, is that the West Coast kids stayed on the West Coast and the competition was just phenomenal. Um, so I respect that it's cool now that we're in the ACC and playing the teams that we normally wouldn't play, getting some really cool matchups. One of the biggest thing I missed though, and the reason why I think the Pac-12 eventually dissolved was because the competition levels just started to falter, and the viewership started to falter. But you couldn't tell me back in 07, 08, 9, 10, maybe even up until Herbert left, that we were just as competitive as a conference as any other conference in the country.
Well, certainly you have. All right, let's go back to 2007 because you brought it up. We got all the way, I think, number 2. But Cal versus Tennessee. That was I remember my freshman year, and Rob and I remember this. You know, we showed up to it was like the open practice. I remember Deshaun coming up and high-fiving everybody in the stands. And then the Tennessee game, I couldn't even get student tickets. I actually didn't get in on the lottery. So I ended up having to go in on our family season tickets. So I went with my dad to that game. It was the loudest. I still maintain it was the loudest environment I've ever been in. I know Autzen is loud. I've been there. And I was like, Cal, Tennessee, loudest environment I've ever been in. And that's an SEC team. So like right there. But what was that like for you? It's like a freshman coming in, big recruit, and then you have this like massive matchup. Like, what were those emotions like?
I was just like it. I think because I redshirted that year, so I wasn't playing. But you know, you walk onto the field and you're like, oh, this is why I chose Cal. This is why I wanted to play college football. Like, this is insane. Like the environment was crazy. And after DJax, well, in your opinion, was it louder after Worrell Williams scoop and score touchdown or after DJax punt return? Either way, I was just standing there looking around. I'm like, this is incredible. Yeah. Like this is why I came here. I'm like, at that point I was like, this was the right decision. I wasn't even in the game. I wasn't even playing. And I was like, no, this is what I signed up for.
That is like, I think as someone that was very similar to you, but for me, like growing up as a lifelong Cal fan and being on the East Coast for my last 2 years of high school. So when it was a late West Coast game, staying up, watching that game, and then getting to campus, I agree. It was like, not only is like, this is why I went to Cal, but like, this is what all my friends who went to smaller schools that didn't have a football program, I was like, this is what they were missing. Like, it felt like, I was like, this is why I wanted to go, to Cal. It was because I knew that it would have, that environment for me to be a part of. And it was super special.
Yeah. I think, we're going to look back in a few years and be like, that Tedford era was special. I mean, just the talent that we had on the teams, the way the stadiums were packed. I mean, we don't even have to wait a few years, but like I look back on it now and I'm like, it was just, it was incredible. I mean, I still get goosebumps like thinking about just the packed stadiums and just the energy that was in the stadium. Those were good times for sure.
Great times.
Shane, just one side question with that. I mean, you've been around the stadium, you've seen the improvements. You saw Memorial Stadium renovation. You saw post. When you go in there and walk around, you see the locker rooms and stuff. You're like, oh, these guys have it nice. Is there kind of that feeling?
They have no idea what we went through. They have absolutely no idea what we went through. All right. And I'm not even saying that what it was was like bad. I mean, I signed a letter of intent. I committed to Cal with what the facilities used to be. So they were good enough for me. But what they are now, My last year when they started the renovations, well, they don't like, do they even still know about the tree people? Like, is that even still a topic on campus?
I don't
That was
know. I don't know.
insane. That was insane. And so my whole thing was when I was getting recruited, they were like, "We're gonna have new facilities by your sophomore year." Okay, well, sophomore year rolls around, we're nowhere near it. See, red shirt sophomore year. So my third year, we're nowhere near it. Red shirt junior year, we're in bungalows, and they could finally start. They could finally start the renovation, but we were like in bungalows up by the rugby field. Would have to walk down the steps. Walk, you know what I mean? It was just like a little bit of a hassle, and then I entered the draft after that. So I never even got to experience something that was like promised, but I didn't really care, like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, facility's fine. Like it is what it is. But when you go back and look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Shane, did you ever go to the visiting locker room?
Yeah, that place was a dump. I loved it though. I loved it. And so when I got to the league and I would have players on my team from the pack that played against us, that's like one of the first things that they always brought up was the visiting locker room. And they were like, we were cheek to cheek. They were like, the shower lines were super long. You walk out of that little locker room and all you smell is like popcorn and hot dogs, and then there's just fans. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's tough. What you want me to do?
I mean, it was described to me as a competitive advantage that
Yeah.
players would be so thrown off when I was getting the tour. They'd be so thrown off that we'd already have an advantage against them because they couldn't possibly figure out why they were in a worse locker room than the one they had in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awful. But I liked it though. It is what it is. Yeah.
I think they should have kept it.
Yeah. Yeah. They should have renovated everything except that. Just kept it just like that. Oh man. Yeah. I would have to say my favorite. I do. Absolutely. Be my first collegiate game ever, home against Michigan State. Um, yeah, that was the year before, obviously we had Tennessee to start the season off at home. So we get another like notable nationally recognized program from a conference that we don't normally play coming in. And then I had my first touchdown run that game. And so that was probably like that was my first crack at it. And we played well. We won. I was able to score a touchdown. I was able to see the fans just go crazy like that. So that's probably my number one Cal memory.
Trevor highlighted that yesterday too. He said that was a game where he felt like a Big Ten opponent coming in. They thought there was this misrepresentation or idea that the Big Ten team was just going to come walk all over this West Coast team, and then we showed up and punched them in the mouth.
Over and over and over and over and over. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That was a special moment. That was a really good team in '08 that we had. So that was it.
So Shane, being in the booth, what was that like for you being an analyst?
Yeah.
Did you like that role? I know a lot of former players seem to, jump in and sort of be that color commentator. And yeah, I would love to get your perspective there. Because I do think that like the story that you talking about like Kenny Mayne and Stuart Scott, and the one that I really still actually watch is Scott Van Pelt, because I think he's like the
Yeah.
last standing Sports Center guy that I was like, oh yeah. But I think there were a lot of kids, like including myself, that were like, that's the path I want to go down. What was that like? Because I know working in sports, like I started in sports coming out of Cal. Yeah, I worked for the MLS, and
Okay.
it's not as glorious as what you have it in your mind. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a heavy demand. You don't generally make that much depending on where you are, and
Yeah.
so I would very curious about that path.
Yeah. I would say that there was a much larger learning curve than I thought that it was going to be. So it was a challenge, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed being close to the game still. I enjoyed walking into the stadium. and like getting that feeling of like pregame warm up and all that type of stuff. But then you have to like flip on like a different portion of your brain. Like, yeah, you know the game, you know what you're seeing, you know what's gonna you can predict what's gonna happen, but you have to be able to verbalize that on the spot to millions of people that are watching the game. And it's definitely, and that's what, like when Tom Brady started doing it and he wasn't all that great and people were killing him for it, it's a learned skill. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to do it from your couch, right? Everybody does it from their couch. When you're live and you have a mic on and everything you say, no matter if it's a cough, a sneeze, or just like whatever, whatever it may be, like people are listening to that. So like you have to be, and there's a timing to it. Your play-by-play has to go, then you get it, then you get a chance to talk, but you gotta stop talking before they break the huddle so that the play-by-play guy can come back in and narrate the play and all that type of stuff. And you're trying to say a lot in a little bit of time. You're trying to talk about the players, but at the same time, you're trying to tell the story of a game. So it's a lot more difficult, I think, than people realize and than people give it credit for. The good ones are good for a reason, because they work at it. But I would just say that like it was a challenge. It was definitely a challenge. But I like that. But that's what I loved about it. Was that it was a challenge. Studio's a little bit easier, because you're in pre-production meetings, so you know what the topics are going to be. You know what points you're going to make. You have your notes there, and yeah, I had my notes in my big board, so I knew who all the players were, what the coach after the coaches meetings and stuff. But like 90% of what you say when you're doing a color commentating is just right off the top of your head, and that's a learned habit.
You can't say like.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to be, yeah. And so that's the difficult part, is fitting like, okay, I see all of this happening going on and I have 15 seconds.
Wow.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah,
you
you're
know
so
what I mean?
succinct.
So, yeah, so it's like I can't say everything, so I got to pick and choose, like what do I want to say on this play, and then maybe I can come back to another point on it after the next play.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Shane. Well, I'm going to close this down. So this has been, first of all, thank you so much. This has been a huge pleasure. We've absolutely loved having you on here, and can't thank you enough. For those listening, this has been the California Golden Bearcast, a proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Networks. If you are listening today, you know where to find us. You can also reach out to us on Twitter and all the other places that Bob has us. And as we always say at the end of the episode, Shane, go Bears.
Go Bears. Appreciate you guys.